First is that you must have a government. If you fail to have a government, but you have people with siren, but they're not a government, it's like having a security man carrying a gun with uniform but he's sleeping. You don't have security. You have a uniformed man sleeping in front of your house. So we need to have a government. And what would the government do? A government will account for your resources and see whether by full accountability and efficiency, you have enough resources to address the needs of your people. And I submit that the federal government of Nigeria, together with many of the state governments, they are collecting and accounting for less than 7% of the revenue. 7%. So with that, there's already a problem. When 93% of your revenue is lost into people's pockets. So that is why the federal government could say that only 9 trillion in today's naira is what they can account for. And they are spending 21 trillion. 21 trillion is a budget of poverty for 200 million people. It makes no sense. So we will immediately, we know all the revenue sources and I've given lectures on it. We will immediately raise our revenue collection to almost 99% because the revenues are being recognized and collected, but they are off balance sheet. So without money, a government is useless. Second thing is that the quality of education given to the youth is such that they are given only a piece of paper with which they can attach to another piece of paper asking for employment. It is not the kind of education you give which empowers them and enables them to go out and make a living and interact with the environment. The third thing is that the government spending is violating the Constitution, Chapter 2 of the Constitution. It states in the fundamental objectives and directive principle of state policy how government money must be spent, how a budget must be written. So all the budgets written by the government since 1999, all of them, without exception, are in violation of the Constitution. Because it's like giving money to a housewife and say, take care of the family. And she doesn't buy food, she doesn't pay rent, she just throws parties and buy lace and ashepi. That is unfriendly. But if you look at the budget, especially this year's budget is like asking armed robbers to go to a bank, rob the bank blind, and then do the balance sheet of that bank after robbing it. So we will make sure that our budget is a budget that is working towards full employment. Because the objective of fiscal and monetary policy is to guarantee full employment. And to do that, you will spend money on works. You will spend a lot of money on recurrent to keep those who you have employed now paid. You also spend substantial money on capital projects so that by doing road networks, rail lines, airport construction, housing construction, you will employ people. That's how you generate employment. There's no magic to it. But when the money in the budget, go and do the analytics of this year's budget. Forget about the one they have told you, 93%. The 7%, they are using half plus to service debts, which are orchestrated between consultants and banks. So the people who benefit from that are not up to 2,000 people nationwide. Then you will see the report that came out, the Bloomberg report, that says that 7 people in Nigeria, 7, all of whom are friends of government people, all of whom are giving money to them to run campaign, have the same wealth as 83 million Nigerians. 83 million people combined together are poorer than 8 people. So that is the reason we have this quagmire. So that's how to address that. The fourth way to address it is to have a government that invests in the social sector, education, housing, agriculture and nutrition, healthcare, infrastructure. So that this money is spent according to what is written in the Constitution. This one they are calling budget is not a budget at all. So there is no problem with that. Then the last part is that even though the federal government is misbehaving on the fiscal side, the central bank has been taken over. Nigeria does not have, as I speak to you today, a central bank. What Nigeria has is a central cashier that takes the money and gives it to politicians in government. Last quarter, the central bank says it spent 16 billion to defend the naira. The naira doesn't need to be defended, but they said they used to defend the naira. So naira moved from 940, 920 back to 720. This quarter, they have put 15.6 billion to say they want to use to defend the naira against the dollar. So when you combine the two, they are equivalent to the entire budget of the federal government. Now, if you don't know, secretly, the central bank claims that it has given $56 billion to the present government unauthorized. And they have a bill before the National Assembly now to try to regularize it. So what I'm saying generally is that you cannot jump to employment without first putting in place a government that's accountable. A government that analyzes to you how your money comes in and how it goes out. And the last part, without currency stability, you cannot attract private investment. So I can guarantee you that we have a program for 30 million jobs in the first 1 year. When we announced that policy, they were all shouting, how can you generate 30 million jobs? We gave them the analytics, and we see that the 30 million jobs will be created. And then subsequent years, we will create another 15 million jobs, then the rest. Maybe you will have nobody looking for employment again. Maybe they'll come from Ghana or come from Cameroon or wherever, because the full plenary of our unemployed youth will have been employed. But the most important thing that helps employment is the stability of the currency. Inflation is one of the symptoms of it. Exchange rate is the symptom of it. In our government, we are not going to do salary increase. What we are going to do is that we are going to increase the purchasing power of the money.